Pikachu! That's right, we're back. The Pikachu song means it's finals time, hype!
Finals time!
Are you ready, Anna?
I have my tea. I have my gillyweed. I would say I'm ready for the finals of the HeroesHype Amateur Series between Wild Growth, our familiar friends, and Edubz Fan Club. A relative newcomer.
Yeah, we've got the newcomer versus the old hat. Is that what you would? The old hat. I don't know. They've won so many times. It's like David and Goliath up in here, and I think we're about to start the draft. We're going to be on Dragonshire, so power in, guys. It's going to be a crazy first game.
Crazy indeed. Whoa! Gilly! It was not a Lost Vikings first ban. Gilly! Everything I know about the world is different.
What is happening? All I know is that there were Pikachus and then magic happened.
Sylvanas is going to be the first ban on behalf of Edubz Fan Club. They do not want to see Wild Growth have Mistress stop the buildings from firing. That's her name.
Yes, that's the technical term.
That's her given name.
Oh, exactly, yes. But will Wild Growth ban the Vikings here? Or
I don't know. And
Illidan?
If they don't, does that mean someone will take them? Is also the question.
Oh, please. We haven't had a Vikings game yet. So good. Much love. Please, Vikings. But Wild Growth dipping into their time pool just a bit, just for their ban. Really thinking this out here. What's going on, guys?
I mean, I guess what they're thinking is we expected a Lost Vikings ban, and then we would have done an Illidan ban. But now, if they either ban Lost Vikings or Illidan, then their opponent, Edubz Fan Club, could take the other one. So I guess they're asking themselves which one they would rather play against if they have to.
The best of, the worst of, wait, what is it? The best of two evils? Oh my gosh, what is the phrase?
You're thinking of the best of both worlds and the lesser of two evils. So it's the best of both worlds for Edubz and the lesser of two evils for Wild Growth. Lost Vikings will be the ban, and the best of both worlds will go to Edubz Fan Club, who will likely get to pick up Illidan.
Man, I do that all the time. I am the worst with sayings. One time I was trying to say grand finale, but I had just said like the whole enchilada, and so I said grand tamale, sticking with the Mexican food theme. And Edubz Fan Club is going to grab Jaina. There's no segue to come back from that. They're going to grab Jaina. Wild Growth maybe will go for Illidan here. We'll have to see.
I mean, this final series is the grand tamale of this week's HeroesHype Amateur Series, so I'm certainly excited to get into it. Jaina being the first pick from Edubz. Jaina is a super strong hero, and although we've seen Illidan kind of be everyone's little darling lately, the Shirley Temple of the HeroesHype Amateur Series, and heroes in general, if you will, Edubz opting for Jaina instead with all that burst. So the question is, again, Wild Growth is saying, well, do we want Illidan or do we want to play against Illidan? Diablo is their first pick, so they're really looking for that overpower, maybe an Apocalypse. I don't know. These teams have gone crazy, Gilly.
We have officially had a Murky, so nothing makes sense anymore. I kind of thought maybe they would consider the Illidan and Vala again like they picked last game, but that was versus a Sylvanas. This time they're versus Jaina. She throws out much more burstier damage, and they are going to go with the Diablo and the Vala. So being a little more cautious here, saying we know what tank we want, and we're going to go ahead and just make sure that we get them.
Also, they're going for a red theme, obviously, so had to grab those two first. The thing is that they probably want the Diablo-Tyrande combo that we've been talking so much about, and they can be relatively sure that Edubz might not pick up Tyrande without the Diablo. Relatively. They probably don't want to pick up Tyrande just as a deny. They are going for Team Blonde, though.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, adding Uther to Jaina. Because we all know that team matching is the most important indicator of success in Heroes of the Storm.
Yes, for sure. And I guess going from that, it's logical then that they would probably pick up that Nova And then they've got some other options too, right? Like there's a blonde Illidan as well. They've got a lot they can go from here. But on the other side, Wild Growth could pick up Falstad, maybe even Sonya. My world would be complete. We'd have Murky and Sonya in the same week of Heroes Hype. Probably not going to happen. Instead, Edubz going to grab Illidan. Hey,
Could
please,
be blonde.
Blonde Illidan. You got to do it, Edubz. You got to do it.
Yeah, if you don't have that skin, I hope you're buying it right now, Edubz, because like we said, very important. We've been promised some matching mounts from some of the teams, so we'll let you know that our good caster vibes will go toward you if you pick matching mounts. Now, Wild Growth, looking at this, they have a great tank, they have a great damage dealer. They probably want the Tyrande to synergize with Diablo, but they may be banking on the fact that they can pick that up later if they want to get something else under their belt first. So what do you think we're going to see from them right now, Gilly?
You know, I think that they would be okay with grabbing the Tyrande to ensure that they have it, and then going with getting their support last. No, they're going to go with Rhaegar. Rhaegar's good. They can steal it from the Illidan in hopes that, you know, that was something that Edubz was hoping for. Oh, no, never mind. Edubz had the Uther, but we have seen some teams occasionally pick up Uther and Rhaegar just to throw their opponents off, because with Jaina and Illidan, that would be enough damage. You could have Rhaegar and Uther, keep them alive for forever, and that would be a ton of damage. But no, they're going to grab Rhaegar now. They really want to make sure that they have extra heals, top heals, that they need it. And then I don't know if they'll grab the Tyrande here. It's possible. And just make sure that they have that last pick so they can pick up another damage dealer so that they can counter whatever's going to happen next with Edubz. But I feel like Edub's hand is shown here in the Illidan and Jaina.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, if they don't go for the Tyrande here, they're probably looking for another damage. Wah! Zagara! Ooh, very exciting. Okay, so very likely, if our Tyrande theory is correct, which it might not be, Gilly, because everything we know is wrong about this match. If our Tyrande theory is correct, then Wild Growth may be leaning on Zagara and Vala solely to deal their damage. That could work. Zagara also has lots of really cool vision abilities and control using Maw. So Edubz has to be looking at this and trying to figure out what Wild Growth is going for. But the beauty of it is, like you said, Wild Growth now has this last pick that they can kind of flex if they need to deal with whatever Edubz comes up with.
And let's not forget Maw into APOC. That's such a great combo, though a little more difficult to hit than the Void Prison into APOC, because you can't turn off Maw like you can turn off the APOC or the Void Prison. And there we see Edubz picking up ETC and the Tyrande. So if that's what Wild Growth wanted, it's going to be denied. If not, Edubz, you know, picks up one of those Sapassins who can throw a Hunter's Mark on, amplify the damage coming out from Jaina and Illidan. Not a bad pickup in the least.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe Wild Growth was trying to bait them into that deny, but there's so many good things that Tyrande can do for that composition that I don't know that that would be a smart thing if that's what they were trying to do. So now they're looking at this and saying, all right, what do we have left that we need? We have a strong support who's capable of supporting on his own in Rhaegar. We have a good damage dealer that's really solid in Vala. They're going to go for more damage. I think that's pretty smart considering this team composition. They're going to add Thrall to the mix. Were they the ones who played Thrall earlier, Gilly?
Yeah, Wild Growth loves that Thrall, and I think it is Jordo who likes to play him. So we always see Jordo hanging out on that Thrall, so that's probably what we'll see. Oh, they need you to join the game.
I have done it.
And we are ready, waiting on the teams to start the game. Dragonshire time. If you've just joined, don't forget there are 2 shrines, top and bottom. If you have both, then you could channel the dragon in the middle to put on the suit and deal a ton of damage to heroes and structures with that dragon suit. What are you thinking, Anna? Looking at these 2 team comps, do you have a favorite?
Well, first I'm thinking that Edubz has failed us on the blonde team comp because all of the characters they're playing have blonde iterations and they're not using them. I'm just putting that out there. So, but maybe, you know what, maybe this is brunette comp. I'm not one to discriminate. So that's fine. You know, like I said, this isn't necessarily about you and I, although it could be. This is about these two teams. And looking at these team compositions, I mean, Wild Growth is certainly more of a wild card in terms of the meta. We don't see Thrall a lot. We do see Jaina, Illidan being super strong picks, Uther being a super strong support. So Edubz fan club is certainly maybe a little more standard, a little more meta ready, if you will. But I'm really excited to see what Wild Growth is going to do with Zagara, because she can do interesting things with creep. She can be, like you mentioned, the mod to Apocalypse could be really good if they can hit it. And we know that they're a skilled team, so maybe they can. But just like face value, when I look at these two compositions, I see Edubz fan club being so strong damage-wise that they will be able to take an early lead if they play their cards right, and that could carry them through momentum-wise, especially on Dragonshire, where if they manage to hit level 20 first, even if it's only by a little bit, I've seen many teams win just based on that.
One thing I would like to note about Wild Growth composition is because they have the Zagara and the Thrall, typically we've seen Thrall take Sundering every time Wild Growth has picked him. And if we're going to get Ma for the Zagara, that is something that could cause a little bit of issues, because if they hit them at the same time, Sundering could actually throw somebody out of the line of the Ma, which would be obviously not something that they would want. So we'll have to see how they deal with that. We do have Wild Growth in the blue with Grim Reaper playing Vala, Jordo on his Thrall, Jimmy on Rhaegar, Killusion playing Diablo, and Blythawk playing Zagara. And
in the red for Edubz fan club, we have Schooled playing Tyrande, Radlak playing Uther, Talls on ETC, Lyricals playing Illidan, and Apollo on Jaina, who I was reminded by one of the mods, he was in Heroes of the Dorm. He played for Boston College, so he was one of the heroic 4 that we saw in LA while we were there.
Ah, so cool.
Yeah.
Super awesome. We
a
had
celeb in our midst.
Yeah, very much so. We had several members actually on, or several HeroesHype players who were in that as well. 2 or 3 members even on the ASU, so the second place team as well. So it was really, really cool to see that.
Yeah, very cool to see that the point of this league, which is to let amateurs have a place to practice and hone their skills, is definitely coming true, as we saw some of them be featured on ESPN too.
Yeah, not a bad place to be featured starting out in the amateur series. And we do have rotation coming down from Edubz. We're going to jump immediately onto Blythawk, but Lyricals is going to get stunned. Now Blythawk is as well, and another stun from Uther will help him secure that Zagara kill. And we're seeing Edubz just do the same thing that we often see, which is go back and forth between that mid and bottom lane to try to pick up a kill and keep the push going in the lanes.
I wanted to touch on something you were mentioning right before we got into the game, which was Thrall's Sundering kind of conflicting with Zagara's Ma. The other heroic ability that Thrall has is Earthquake, which I'll tell you about after this engagement, as Apollo is in trouble and looks like might get melted down as Collusion overpowers him. Jimmy and Blythawk and Grim Reaper body block, and they will take this bottom shrine, able to take down Jaina, the damage dealer, who will be dealing no more damage at the moment.
Yeah, Grim Reaper was the one to transition down this time, whereas Lyricals there on the Illidan was still up top. Now, both shrines are captured for Wild Growth, but there are 3 heroes here from Edubz here to make sure that Grim Reaper doesn't sneak a dragon. And this is always the hard part, right? When you've got 2 shrines for your enemies, but you know that you've got to try to get one of those shrines before they pick up the dragon. And that's what we're trying to see ETC do. He's in there versus the Jordo. Jaina can't really compete with the Zagara, so that one's not really an option. And now Towels has at least caught some of this, but taking a lot of damage here from Jordo, and Jimmy's going to come in as well, drop a totem to try to slow Towels down. Looks like they won't be able to pick up that kill there, but they did at least push him off of the shrine. So once again, the pressure will be back on here, but it was just enough time for Edubz to come in and grab this bottom shrine.
Yeah, this is where we start to see the seesaw between these two teams, neither one being willing to commit and sacrifice for one of these shrines at this point in the game, but neither one wanting to allow the other team to have it either. So we see a lot of awesome creep spread going down from Blythawk on Zagara. That's going to allow vision as well as quick movement for Zagara, who can be not a great escape artist, so making sure that she has the speed to get herself back and forth between the shrine and the protection of the wall is a really good idea.
It also makes your opponents use up some of their abilities and therefore mana in trying to get rid of that creep spread, push it back as much as possible so that you don't have complete vision of everything, which is what we're seeing Jaina doing as well. So here comes Collusion, going to try to pick up this shrine. Radlock and Apollo are here, and now Schooled as well to try to stop him. Collusion's taking quite a bit of damage, but Jimmy is in here to try to heal. Jimmy himself taking a lot of damage, and here comes Lyricals on that. Illidan's going to chase down that Jimmy. Will he be able to get away? Ghost Wolves and gets away, but for now, Edubz will be able to continue holding on to that shrine.
Absolutely. We see both teams exactly dead even. Level 6, 1 kill, 6 forts. So very evenly matched here. Definitely playing footsie in all the right places. And we see Jimmy going for the siege camp on the blue side of the map, so Wildgrowth looking to take a little bit of an advantage in that lane.
Yeah, it's always nice just to have those mercs pushing at least enough so that you can pick up the shrine, and that's the shrine that they need right now. They're having an easy time holding that top one with the Thrall there versus the ETC, and Wildgrowth has just picked up their level 7 talents. Speaking of talents, 2 protective shields on the side of Edubz, so really going for sustain here in this game.
Interesting. So maybe feeling like they need to make sure that their damage dealers keep dealing damage.
All about keeping alive Jaina and Illidan, who are very, very squishy here. Thrall still holding on to top. The boring lane, we might even say, because they're just hanging out, not really doing too much for each other. And now here are these giants that are pushing, and that means that they're not really going to be able to engage in, and that means that Edubz has to try to watch mid here and not let anybody grab this dragon until they're able to finally pick up one of the shrines.
Yeah, it looks like Schooled rotating up to take care of Jordo, who is giving Talz a little bit of a tough time, but that top shrine, okay, is going to go into the hands of Talz. Talz is going to make sure that a blue Dragon Knight doesn't happen anytime soon. Grim Reaper was just running up to try to grab it and will be denied. Lyrical's now chasing Jimmy up toward the top, but Jordo is there to help, so it's going to be 3 versus 2, but no, they'll go ahead and back off, and the teams will continue to seesaw. Looks like a little bit of an engagement over the bottom shrine, though. Radlock getting very, very low as Grim Reaper tries to jump in. Barely will get away and tap the well, and Paula will go down for her efforts.
Oh no, the case of the vault, the aggressive vault coming back to haunt you was not able to get away from the towers plus the damage of Jaina and did go down. And now this means that for one more second they are down another person, and Wildgrowth just have to try to get disengaged here, but this means that they've got to be really careful, head straight to that mid shrine because that's where they're going to try to grab the dragon.
Absolutely, and they do not want a Dragon Knight to happen, although at this point in the game, we've mentioned that the Dragon Knight is going to be a little bit weaker. Schooled being out of position, being overpowered, and then melted down. So 1 player down for Edubz, and that is good for Wildgrowth as they want to grab the top shrine. It looks like Thrall will take care of that real quick, so they're not in so much danger of a Dragon Knight happening. Yes. Probably Edubz will not want to engage without one of their members, but she'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah, the aggressive positioning from both of these teams showing that they really, really are antsy about this dragon. The later it goes, the more scared they get, and they know that each team is getting really close to those level 10 abilities as well. Now both shrines are back to being blue, and Apollo is being thrown out by Collusion, trying to get away, but the body blocks from Diablo are so good, and with one final swipe of his claw, they will be able to pick up the Jaina kill. That's 15 seconds where Wildgrowth has the number advantage in Heroes, and they've already secured both of the shrines as well, although Grim Reaper is going to have to get away here and does vault to do so.
A lucky save as Collusion comes in to make sure that she can get away and get healthy again. Talz, Radlock, and Schooled, though, will be in hot pursuit of Collusion as Collusion goes toward the top to join Jordo. That will be 4 players in the top. Against 2 for Wildgrowth. And the rotations continue happening, though, so every time we say they're somewhere, they will soon be another somewhere, which is great on this map. That means they're playing it right.
Yes, it also makes it difficult for us to tell you about anything other than that, but really quickly we do have heroics for both teams with Rain of Vengeance, Devouring Maw, Apocalypse, Sundering, and Ancestral Healing for Wild Growth. Edubz picking up Starfall, Divine Shield, Stage Dive, Metamorphosis, and the Water Elemental on Jaina.
I wonder how they're going to use that Sundering, because like you mentioned, the Apocalypse and Maw going together really work with grouping up. And then the Sundering, I mean, maybe they're looking to use it in different situations when they need to escape.
Yeah, I am not sure. Both teams now getting aggressive once again over these shrines, but Collusion has to get out of there. And once again, we're just going to have 1-1 here, as both teams are nearing the 12-minute, or the level 12 mark, grabbing mercs as they can, just trying to get any advantage they possibly can when trying to grab these shrines. But this is pretty late First Dragon.
Absolutely. Radlock being pretty low, but Towels will stage dive in to help. The Maw will go down, catching just Apollo, and the Apocalypse does happen right after the Maw. Very well executed, but Apollo gets healed up and does not die until now. Now will die. Looks like now Wild Growth will be able to claim this bottom shrine.
Yeah, they finally got a little bit of an advantage there in terms of heroes. They've got Jaina and Uther down. Rhaegar instantly heads to that top shrine, knowing they only have a few seconds, precious seconds, where they will have the advantage here. Looks like Zagara will be the one to try to pick up this Dragon Knight. And Rhaegar is here, but Skuld and Towels are right on the case. Gonna have to push Rhaegar back, and they're still going to be able to deny this.
Whew. A lot of action happening. The top shrine now being controlled by Edubz, the bottom shrine still being held by Wild Growth. Grim Reaper looking to get some pushing done, but Lyrical scares him away. But there's quite a bit of damage done to that wall here on the bottom for Edubz, so something they're going to have to keep an eye on. Not a whole lot of damage, though, in the top lane for Wild Growth, but certainly a ton for Edubz. So in terms of pressure, not a whole lot stat-wise happening in terms of one team being ahead of the other, but there's definitely a lot more scratches on the doorways of Edubz.
Scratches on the doorways. I like that a lot. And Radlock getting caught a little bit out of position here, is trying to run away, but great stun from Jordo makes him use his Divine Shield. Now he's back in, though, and Jordo has to be Ancestral Healed to get back up. Collusion going straight after Lyricals, but not really having the team behind him there to be able to engage upon. So they are just going to get away here. Nobody died in that engagement, but there are a lot of minions and mercs pushing here onto the bottom, and so that's something that Edubz had to deal with immediately. Both teams have picked up level 13 talents now.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually Wild Growth is eking away into level 14 talents, so we're seeing that Wild Growth is actually taking that experience lead that I was thinking it would be so important for Edubz to manage to take at this point in the game, since they're built on this bedrock of damage dealers. So interesting to see the momentum favoring Wild Growth. Collusion, though, maybe being caught out by Lyricals, but being able to overpower and say, get out of my way, I'm the Lord of Terror, I'm going my own direction. He'll join Jimmy in the mid, who will take care of Schools and Talls. And it looks like we're here for another engagement. That Overpower will come into play again as Tyrande will fall in the midst of a Starfall. And the entire team of Wild Growth is now grouped up, and it doesn't look like Edubz wants to engage without their Sepassin.
Yeah, she went down so fast thanks to the damage right on top of her as soon as she was overpowered. And that means that once again, the team Wild Growth is going to be going after picking up this dragon. Collusion is already ready to try to pick it up, but Lyricals is stopping him. But now, this is going to look rough. Jordo is in position to stop Taos from taking this, and we've seen him be able to fend off ETC every time. Collusion and Jimmy now in place to stop anybody. There's an owl that will stop it once again, and now Taos is back to try to push Grim Reaper off. They're trying with everything they can to deny this here until Tyrande can get back in here. She is here now, and there's the Metamorphosis. Lyricals jumps right in, has to get back a little bit now, and there's the Maw, picks up Apollo, who is already very low, probably will die. There's the Apocalypse, catches Apollo, who is down. Schooled is getting very, very low as well. Everyone is going to have to get back. Collusion trying desperately to pick up one last kill here. Does not do so, but man, they're so low that that will be the first Dragon Knight at 12 minutes for Wild Growth.
And Blacklock makes a beeline for the top lane instead of going for mid, where there are people ready and waiting to defend. That tower will be made short work of. This Dragon Knight is a little stronger, even, you know, being here at 12 minutes. as opposed to early on in the game. Will also take down the well and should be also looking to grab this fort as well. So far uncontested as we have an engagement going on in the bottom, Gilly.
Oh man, Lyricals is getting pretty low, but he's still trying to stay in there, and he will get out. There's a Starfall slowing down the team members of Wild Growth, and that's good, but oh no, Shadow Charge. Oh, great stun on Diablo, keeps him from overpowering Toronto, and they're trying to catch Jimmy, but he gets the heal just in time. Now he's got to be the one disengaging. They are level 16. Wild Growth has a talent tier advantage, but they have to be careful because they don't have one team member. He's off in the Dragon Knight. Suit just powering away through this death bridge. Made it through one fort already now on these towers.
Schooled is finally going to respond and say, hey, stop, don't break down our house. Blythox says, okay, fine, I'll get out of your way because I don't want to be around all 4 of you when my dragon suit explodes. But it looks like they want to be there for that moment. They did shrink him, and Blythox is getting away. But I wanted to say, look at this creep spread that is all over the map. Blythox cannot really be caught in a position where the mobility of Zagara is an issue because Blythox has done such a great job of spreading those creep tumors everywhere. So they're getting right back into this engagement. Lyricals have to Metamorphosis to try to get away, but the Apocalypse goes off. It melts down health. Lyricals is staying up, but almost everybody falls, including Illidan. Only ETC is left for Edubz fan club, and all 5 members of Wild Growth who are healthy will continue this push that was started by the Dragon Knight, taking down this inner keep, and they have 20 seconds or more until the rest of the team for Edubz is alive. Do you think we'll see them push for core? Nope, they're going to back off. They're going to take the safe route, and they are going to look to take more advantages on the map to secure their position in the lead.
Towels is desperately trying to take these giants out before anyone notices that he is not on the map. And will grab them, but every other seat or camp of mercenaries is being pinged at this point by Wild Growth. They want to grab everything. They're grabbing their knights and their giants simultaneously. Looks like Towels may try to deny this bottom bruisers camp, but he's got to be really careful. He can stage dive away at any point. Now they've picked up their level 16 talents though, so now it's an even field for them to engage.
At least for 1.5 more levels. So they've got to make something happen right now. Well, not right now. Soon. Very soon. It looks like Wild Growth will dispatch of these siege giants that ETC made happen, which was the only good thing that he could do at that point when his team members were all dead. So well done there. Collusion now going to start these bruisers at the bottom. So they are going to join the siege giants that Wild Growth already has here in the bottom lane to make things nasty for Edubz fan club. But Edubz fan club is ready to take it right now. They're going to look for this engagement, but they didn't take a very favorable position right away, so they're going to back off and get footing that they like better. The bruisers and siege giants will pursue them, and they're going to let them have a path toward this fort.
Yeah, they did not want to be engaging, and they did separate the members of Wild Growth, but they had a whole bunch of mercs right around there who would have been dealing extra damage to them. They didn't really want to deal with that. So they have let Wild Growth grab this shrine for now, but with all the members here, Wild Growth can't really just leave, and so instead they're going to engage in grabbing Lyricals. He will jump away, misses the Sunder for that reason, and there is Radlac, the way out of position. Divine shields himself to try to get away. There's the Apocalypse once again hitting right after the mob. Perfect timing from Wild Growth. Every time secures them 4 kills. Only ETC escapes and is going to be the lone survivor here as the last fort for Edubz, the second to last fort for Edubz will fall.
Man, that Maw Apocalypse has been so on point. You can tell that they must have practiced that over and over, and it was not something we expected to see that successful and that game-changing, but it has been.
Yeah, not only that, but like you can tell that they've even practiced this composition with the Thrall. They've had no issues with the Sundering so far. In terms of that, I've even seen a perfect like Maw with the Sundering going straight to the Maw. I was like, what? Quit that. Positioning too good.
Yeah, really cool team comp, and we were worried about the lack of damage, but that doesn't seem to be holding them back, especially because Zagara has done such a good job of being a hero that is spreading creep everywhere, and so is not being held back by the mobility concerns, able to do lots of damage, and right now in the Dragon Knight, punting Radlock all over the place and being body blocked, but actually being able to get away after a Divine Shield, so looking pretty healthy now, but the Dragon is on the core, so now Edubz fan club is having to make the choice, do we engage with the team, or do we defend the core, or try to do both at once?
Looks like it's both at once. They do drop a good starfall. Blythoth in the dragon's getting low, but Uther is down now. They've lost their support, and with that, Wild Growth will secure the first game. And we'll be moving on to game number 2.
Wow, just really well executed on all fronts. We saw skilled gameplay under a composition that was obviously well premeditated and thought out and practiced. And solid play from Edubz fan club as well, but I think maybe not used to playing against a composition like that, which is absolutely an advantage that Wild Growth took.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general we don't see a lot of people play Thrall, and so it's probably something where they just have never really had to worry about positioning for a Sundering Maw Apocalypse Assault of Doom, which is what they had to deal with there. And yeah, I mean, it tells the tale too. They were never too aggressive, Wild Growth. They would move back when they needed to and just take Merc camps, press their advantage whenever possible. They were level 20 miles ahead of their opponents who never even hit it, and that really helped them secure that last fight as well.
I'm wondering too, because we did see the Tyrande pickup from Edubz fan club foreseeably or perceivably as a deny to Wild Growth. And I have to wonder if Wild Growth was pressuring them to make that decision. I don't know if maybe they would have picked something different if they weren't afraid of the Tyrande Diablo combo, but little did they know that the Zagara Diablo combo was actually what Wild Growth was going for. So really interesting mind games going on. I'm excited to see how that will reflect in the draft in the next game.
Yeah, we might see some different bans come out. We will have to see about that, as well as maybe some counter picking. But I know for sure, I'm going to guess that maybe they don't have a Thrall counter pick happening, but you never know, I guess.
Well, let's get right into it, Gilly.
All right, cool. We're going to take a short break while we let these teams pick the maps. And then once we get back, we'll be ready for game 2. We'll see if Edubz fan club can tie it up. See you soon.